Hi, Mark. Thank you so much for making the time to meet with me today. Welcome.
Well, it's good to see you, Helen. It's always good to see you.
Thank you so much. I know who Mark Morgan is, a dear friend, a strong hiker, an able runner, an amazing attorney helping people and the environment out there. But for those of our friends who may not know who Mark Morgan is, would you like to introduce yourself?
Well, I'd be more comfortable talking about hiking lawyers, but sure, I see the value. And one of the motivations for me in doing this is when I meet people or attend a hike or a camp with hiking lawyers, then I always meet new people, I make new friends, and I'm always inspired by them. So if talking a little bit about myself inspires others to join us, then I think that makes sense. So the thumbnail elevator pitch on my life is I got to go to Duke University for undergrad and to University of Kentucky for law school. I've practiced law for 45 years. I started out in legal services in Apple Red in Eastern Kentucky, and I did the environmental backup for Apple Red cases, mainly involving strip mining, coal strip mining, and got a chance to work with some really great people there. And then when legal services was being shackled or hobbled by federal regulations on doing impact litigation, then I went out on my own and represented citizens or communities, mainly against corporate interests, and we were successful on nearly every case, but the compensation came only through court-ordered attorney's fees and costs, and the lag time on getting paid was usually a range of 3 to 10 years. So when Joni and I had 3 sons, then I transitioned to something where where we could support a family better, and I transitioned to representing people in Social Security disability and personal injury cases. And that has been, from a plaintiff's perspective, that's been really rewarding. It's been fine financially, but it's been really rewarding in terms of feeling like you're being of use to other people, which is of paramount importance to me. I think that as an attorney, we're fortunate to get to do what we do, and we should use that to serve others. We have to watch the bottom line financially, but we really need to be motivated by what we can do to help people who need access to the courts. So that gives you a little bit of an idea.
Absolutely. And for our friends who may not have met Mark before, I know he looks 38 here on the screen and in person, but I believe you just celebrated your 69th birthday. Is that right?
Yesterday.
Yesterday. Well,
Yeah, you're too kind to say that, but that's okay. I appreciate it.
Well, it's true because it's not only appearance, but also your lifestyle. You were just talking about how every day it's a series of choices that you make, either a 6:30 run with your friends or 7:30 biking or outing before even you get started with your day.
Yeah, I've kept that going. I meet people at 5:20 every morning, and we work out for an hour, we run for an hour, and then we bike once a week, and we increase the distance. We usually do 5 miles a day, and then we increase the distance on weekends. And when you get in the habit of doing that, and you have people counting on you being there, then you build strong friendships that allow you to deal with the pressures of our profession. And you also increase efficiency in the way you conduct your business so that you get to the essence of a problem and don't get distracted by actions of of opposing counsel as distracted, and you increase your efficiency. And the daily running, which I'm coming up on 32 years that I've not missed a day, at least a mile a day, and that has that's been good. That's kept me healthy and allowed me to not drive Joni too crazy, and so it's been a real good choice. It's been a good role model for our sons. They all got scholarships to run in college, and Joni got scholarship to run in college. She was one of the earliest Title IX females at UK in track and cross country. And so it's been something we've done as a family, and we've done a lot of hiking as a family. Some of the notable hikes, backpacking trips have been several days at the Grand Canyon and in Haleakala Crater on Maui, up at 10,700 feet, where nearly everything we encountered, plant or nene geese or constellations, everything was new. Nearly all of the wildlife and plant life we saw were endangered species. And that was Joni's idea, but taking the kids backpacking most of their lives, they continue that with their kids, and they married wonderful people who ran for their colleges and loved hiking and backpacking. So it's been pretty rewarding doing it that way.
That's simply amazing, and it certainly shows in not only in your relationship, in your marriage, in your family, the habits of your children and grandchildren who we get to see during our annual hikes, and I love seeing them too, but also in your work and your relationships and in your worldview. Anytime we meet, you're able to open up and appreciate different personalities, different conversations. And it just makes me wonder if there is a link between your daily choices that make up that daily routine that starts at 5:20 with a run or a hike and a mile every day, and also your law practice. There seems to be not only a link but also a balance. Anytime I meet someone new who is not in our hiking lawyers group, typically the conversation about hiking or outdoors or working out, leading a balanced life, the conversation is usually met with suspicion or doubts. I don't have that kind of time. I am a very busy attorney. It seems like being busy is so trendy in our profession that it's something that we should be proud of. But instead, you have created a life where wellness is not a silo. It's just part of your daily life, and it appears that your balance and your success and your ability to remain open-minded and grounded has a lot to do with you being outdoors. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. We when you have things on the calendar, some for your law practice and some for hiking or running or biking or whatever, then you increase your efficiency. And if you do a contingency practice where you have to win to get paid, then your motivation is very high, or your business will fail. And more importantly than your own business is that you'll let down the people and the families that have put their trust in you, which I just hate to do that. So we have a success rate, a win rate that we're very proud of, not as a competition, but as a way of measuring that we are being useful to other people. And when you're busy and you schedule a backpacking trip or you schedule running or whatever, then when you're confronted with a deadline for your legal practice, then you avoid the distractions, you increase your efficiency, but your quality doesn't go down. If I tend to think that you focus more effectively when you're really being efficient than when you have, quote, enough time to do something. When you have sufficient time, then you end up sometimes spinning your wheels and getting caught up in the unnecessary distractions that others have set for you in the on the other side. And I think we have time to do things. I'm at a point in life now that I'm 69 where I don't think we, have a choice but to take care of ourselves and be responsible for our own health, both mental and physical. And by running every day, that's been a shorthand for me to to take care of both essential mental and physical health. Um, and it's, in our we spend so much time talking about healthcare in our society, as we should, but we need to spend more time on preventative health, preventative mental health. One thing you brought up that I wanted to touch upon, Helen, going back to hiking lawyers, you referred to the North Carolina trip, which was a lot of fun there at Gorgeous State Park. There were a lot of waterfalls and everything else. And when Joni and I started coming to hiking lawyer events, we came by ourselves. And now, if we have an opportunity to include our kids or grandkids, then we can do that and be part of the group and meet new people and see old friends, but at the same time, be with our kids and grandkids, because you, to your credit, have created a welcoming environment where I've seen you go around and make sure that everyone feels included and everyone feels appreciated. And that's one of your skills and traits that's held this group together. And nobody feels like there are strict rules that have to be followed. It's more like you create opportunities. And when we bring the kids and grandkids, and you've got nap times and different things to work around, then the way you set it up is you've got an opportunity. Everyone has an opportunity to join in a communal dinner, or to join in a hike to a waterfall, or to join in this or that. And that's, if someone's on the fence about whether to come, whether they can do the distance or handle camping out or whatever, feels intimidated by it, I want to assure them that that's not the case. There is, you establish an environment where everybody is welcome and everybody is made to feel appreciated and accommodated, and that's super important and to your credit. So I wanted to give you that shout out. You deserve it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And clearly in any group, I think the success of it is shared by every member, because I have the moderators, I have the members, and I have people like you who do everything in their power to be able to travel to different states and be with us. And that requires a lot of planning. And we do organize these events on a very much volunteer basis, meaning we're dealing with some brilliant people. This is not a fifth grade trip where we tell people what to do or what not to do. And one thing that's very, very important for me is the freedom and independence this country stands for. And as an immigrant, I think part of the reason that I absolutely admire this culture is, we get to meet each other where we are and learn from each other. And if our organization, Hiking Lawyers and Friends, stood for one thing but not the other, I don't think that would be part of my American dream. The dream is for different views, different people, different ideas to come together and to grow together outdoors. So thank you so much. Your participation, your leadership, and everything that I have learned from you and Joni, those have been an irreplaceable part of what I want to do with this organization. And again, I never go to an event and say, this is what everybody needs to do, because everyone is bringing something so unique to the table. I am going to those events and organizing them so that I can learn from everybody else too. But I have to say, none of those would have happened if you and Joni and our other friends didn't show up. I can plan
Right.
all I want, but they wouldn't be successful without your participation. And I want to go kind of get back to that. So the other day I heard something that was very deep for me. Perhaps you knew this before, but I heard someone say, everyone born's unique, but most people die a copy. So so when it comes to the legal education that we receive in law schools, that perhaps we're all trying to be someone or look a certain way. What does an attorney look like? What does an attorney drive? Where does an attorney live? So in our minds, they all look like somebody else. Perhaps to some point we all want to be a copy of that person who has a boat and a yacht and a super big house and a Corvette or a super expensive car. But I think what I'm realizing in this point in my life is that it's very important to find out who we are and find our purpose. And the reason that I know you don't like to talk about yourself, but the reason that I'm always drawn to you and Joni and your family is that you seem to have found out who you are and find your purpose. For example, the quilt behind you is made by Joni, who
Right.
who does amazing artwork, and she does jams, and she grows strawberries in the backyard. And here you are, extremely talented attorney, running every day. So was that a journey for you too? How did you find your own path? This is not necessarily Mark and Joni specific, but how does one find their path in law school and later on as an attorney? What do we need to pay attention to?
I think that you've described most of the people who come to our campouts well by saying everybody got there because they've worked hard and they have some abilities, some innate traits and abilities that allow them to be successful. And if someone's going to be successful over the long term, they're going to have some repetition and some sticking to it in there for a long time to be really successful in a community or a state or a nation or whatever, however they define their arena. But if you aren't filling your life with both your profession, your life with people that you hold, that you have affection for, and doing activities that you truly enjoy, just have an innate joy when you do them, a childlike joy when you do them, then it's going to be impossible to sustain the long-term effort necessary to have a positive impact in your community or whatever arena you're defining in your profession, in your practice. I just, if I don't get, Joni and I moved out. We did a back to the land, self-sufficiency lifestyle for a long time, and heated with wood and had outhouses and raised chickens and rabbits and a lot of our own food and that sort of thing. And we really enjoy that. And we've still, now that we've moved to town, we've still got a lot of raised beds, and we've got a lot of canned goods that we set aside. And tomorrow we're extracting honey from our bee yard, and we do things like that. And we've taken out our neighborhood type landscaping and put in pollinator stations and native plants. And all that sustains us. And then we got 30 acres in Forkland, gravel switch, where we lived full time for 20 years, and go out there and camp and build trails. And we just found a bear on our land, which was over the weekend, which was a little bit problematic if you've got a bee yard, because tomorrow we're going to have to not only extract honey, but we're going to have to put in a solar electric fence around our bee yard, which I've learned does keep bears out. But solving problems like that and wrapping your head around things like that, where you're you're getting in wood, you're doing essential things, building a barn, whatever, then it's such a break from the law practice that it sustains you, and it doesn't distract from your effectiveness in your law practice. It just makes you more efficient, I think.
That's amazing. So there are certain common themes that are emerging from this conversation, and um, I just want to repeat those back to make sure that I'm remembering those, but also for our friends who may be asking some questions about their wellness goals, their effective law careers. I love when you said childlike joy. I think that's very important to find out what brings that childlike joy into our lives. And personally, I didn't even know what that was for me until I started hiking as a regular exercise, not just as a silo, not just some hiking trip that we go to. Of course, I have made COVID somewhat of an excuse, and that got in the way. Some parks were closed, so I'm getting back to it. But for me, it was possible to find what it is that I like so much that brings that childlike joy into my life. And it was found through hiking, meeting new people, sharing, laughing, understanding, learning from each other, and sometimes problem solving, because you find yourself in situations where people disagree, or uh, there is a task that we all need to do together. How can we do it effectively, but also efficiently? So hiking has always been that for me. And then you also said calendaring, and that's huge. Most people think that, wellness is a silo. You just go to a retreat every year and you're supposed to just leave everything behind there. And it doesn't work that way. So when you talk about calendaring, if I'm understanding right, you are saying that calendar every day, something that brings you joy. Is that right?
It is to me. I think that's essential. Absolutely. Um, I think we'd be lost without getting a break from the pressures of a legal practice. They're joys, but they're also pressures. But you have to get outside. I've been on so many hikes where, I'll have a little bit of knowledge about a particular wildflower or a fern or whatever, and the person next to me is a stranger, and then they'll share their information, and collectively we form a friendship over a conversation about that. And then that conversation leads, when we did the hike to the Pinnacles the other day, Joni and I made some new friends and had conversations that started about some wildflower, and then it took off into places we've been, and then into shared experiences of raising children. And now I just feel like I gain a closeness with people when you hike with them that is not gained if you go to a structured cocktail situation. And I don't have anything against cocktail parties. I think they're great, but you have a more bedrock and wide-ranging discussion when you're hiking and talking about real things, immediate things in the immediate environment, and appreciating something and seeing things through someone else's eyes. I think that helps you as we age. I think that helps us remain a little bit more flexible because we tend to get set in our ways as we age. And I think it's good to be forced out of your comfort zone and to listen to other people. And when you're hiking with people, that occurs naturally, organically. It's there. You can't avoid it, and it's great. So there are many rewards.
That is so true. And just watching you and Joni interact with other people, I think I'm also learning the value of truly listening to hear, as I see you practice that. And it's so important. Again, the other day I saw a quote. It said, empathy is only possible if you see things from the perspective of others, not necessarily what you consider to be right or wrong. So I am so grateful for your presence in my life, as a friend, as a fellow hiker, and as an attorney that I keep learning from. You also mentioned accountability, and even if it's accountability to the person who's hiking right behind you to keep going so that they can keep going too, or those friends who get you up in the morning so they're waiting for you to go running in the morning. And that's what we find at Hiking Lawyers and Friends, to basically text a friend. Jillian, for example, we keep texting and say, this was my diet today, and here's how much I walked today. Yes, we're getting there. And that is such a valuable connection. I will always keep that in mind. But today I wanted to have this conversation with you to first congratulate you and say happy birthday.
Thank you.
69 is an amazing, amazing number. I can only hope to be as balanced and successful and loving and absolutely enjoying this life at that point too. So if you were to tell our lawyer or other friends in terms of some of the things that have led to successful and balanced life for you, and a little bit about Hiking Lawyers, I would like to give you the last words.
Well, the last word is, I think, pretty straightforward, and that is, don't be intimidated because you haven't done an activity or met a certain person about sharing time with them outdoors. It is, I consider myself a fairly shy person, and I had, like most of us, I have a lot of self-doubts. And when you're outdoors, there's so many opportunities to engage with somebody, even if it's being silent and going along together and sharing an experience, and then coming to a viewpoint, a literal viewpoint, not a viewpoint of an opinion, but a literal viewpoint, and sharing that opens up and leads to a good relationship, a good foundation for a relationship with that person or those people. And it's I think that I've done so much competitive running, and I've done a lot of trail running and all that, and I love doing those things. But I've also found that I want to go backpacking with people, and they'll go, oh, well, I'm not going to keep up with you, or I'm not going to, I'm only wanting to go X number, X distance. And I'll say to every time, well, why don't we set up a base camp? Go in a few miles, set up a base camp, go do individual hikes, bring a book, bring a bottle of wine, enjoy yourself, sit around, do what you want that way, and share that experience. I don't like, even though I love to compete in terms of running and trail running and all of that, I don't like competing with people every time we go backpacking. I mean, I like being in the moment with that person or people, relating to what's really going on right then. And it really does, one of the rewards is it helps me I think, maybe I'm deluding myself, but I think it helps me stay a little bit in better touch with our kids and our daughters-in-law and our grandkids, because on something as simple as how to build a campfire, or whether to build a campfire, or what to eat or what not to eat, or how you set up a tent or a tarp or whatever. There are decisions all day long, and the more time you spend with people, the more you learn to respect the fact that there are many right answers to most questions, and respect their way of doing things, and keep your mouth shut and talk about something meaningful instead of, I've heard a lot of people get down in the weeds about how to do X, Y, or Z. And I just think when you're outdoors, there's no reason for that. And it's a lot more fun when you learn from other people instead of trying to instruct other people.
Absolutely. And I think you make incredibly amazing points. And as you were talking, in my mind, I am envisioning a moving book club where everyone brings a book and we're moving at our own pace backpacking, and we meet perhaps at the end of the day to talk about the book and what we've seen and how it applies to our lives. And perhaps one person has a wine has a bottle of wine in their backpack, and we have a moving wine club.
I like that. I like that.
Or moving juice club, or whatever it may be. So thank you so much for giving me some ideas there. And this was just another demonstration of building strong relationships. It's so easy to go to someone when you need something. I teach this in my classes at the law school too. Anytime you need a sample or you need help in litigation, it's so easy to go and say, give me, give me, give me. But if you don't have a strong relationship with that mentor, they don't have any reason to care about you. But if you're part of a group where you genuinely care about each other, you genuinely have that common denominator that is the love of the outdoors, love of backpacking, love of people and relationships, then that relationship is so much more organic. And I absolutely value my relationship with you and Joni so much.
Thank you.
I learn from you every single day. Thank you so much for your time today. I know we're going to keep talking and having this conversation, and very soon we might have a moving book and wine club backpacking together.
There we go. All right. Well, I would love that. And thanks, Helen. Thank you for getting all of us together and continuing to put your energy and ideas into it. And most importantly is thanks for creating an environment where everybody feels welcome and valued, because that's an unusual human circumstance that you've created. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mark. I look forward to seeing you and Joni very soon.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.